These days, when you think of total existential planetary annihilation, you're probably thinking about climate change. For good reason.
If we do nothing to keep glaciers from melting faster and oceans from rising faster and forests from burning faster and storms from growing stronger, we will condemn our children to a planet beyond their capacity to repair.
But for Kate Brown, who's a professor of science, technology, and society at MIT, there's another reason to lose sleep.
America has around 4,800 nuclear warheads, which is more than enough, not just to destroy Earth, but to provide 4th of July fireworks for Martians.
The only thing that calms me down is not thinking about it, frankly.
The threat of nuclear technology. It's receded from our collective fears, but Brown says not for any rational reason, just from a kind of recency bias. Nothing terrible has happened in a while.
We are alive today and have not encountered nuclear Armageddon really only just by chance and circumstance.
Nuclear weapons are becoming easier and cheaper to build, and it's not unlikely that other countries like Iran, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia might get them in the next 20 years. North Korea keeps adding to its stockpile. And you don't have to imagine a hypothetical wartime conflict escalating to the point of a nuclear attack. All it takes is a small mistake.
There's been so many close calls. Nuclear weapons falling out of planes. There's been very close encounters where American planes violated Soviet airspace, and the Soviets thought it was an attack.
Making matters worse, the latest hypersonic missile delivery systems mean if a country thinks it's being attacked, it doesn't have hours to decide how to respond. It has minutes. If a country misinterprets a signal, it could be too late.
The more these missiles populate the Earth, the more danger we are in.
When we think of a nuclear attack, we imagine a big blast that flattens a city. But nuclear warfare is a lot like chemical and biological warfare. After the pyrotechnics are over, the long-term manifestations of that 1 millisecond flash of a bomb continue for centuries.
Radioactive contaminants damage DNA, chromosomes, organs, so that people develop cancers later in life. They develop cardiac problems later in life. Birth defects are an outcome. So that the repercussions of nuclear warfare continue for generations, 10 generations and offspring.
Worldwide, what we've had since these technologies were first introduced is rising rates of cancer, rising rates of birth defects. Male sperm count has been cut in half since 1945. But we've never adequately funded research investigating the causation between those things and the nuclear radiation from atmospheric testing of weapons during the Cold War. From the beginning, nuclear technology wasn't just about weapons. It was supposed to be the beginning of an era of free energy.
Here, in fact, is the answer to a dream as old as man himself, a giant of limitless power at man's command. And where was it science found that giant? In the atom.
Since its commercialization in the 1970s, nuclear power has prevented the emission of about 64 billion tons of carbon dioxide. It's because of these virtues that nuclear technology has been allowed to proliferate around the world. But it's also why we can no longer contain the threat of nuclear weapons. One of our greatest hopes for salvation is also one of our greatest liabilities. The scientists have always known this, of course. Robert Oppenheimer from the Manhattan Project, he knew it.
We knew the world would not be the same. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
For Philosophy Talk, I'm Liza Veale.